Hello, welcome to our weekly astrological transits. And well, we have an interesting week. Some people saying it might be the worst week of the year. I don't know if I believe that, but it's definitely going to be slightly tense. Um, there's just certain things going on, and just have to remind you, we still have the last little bit of Mercury retrograde in Leo. We're slowing way down because it's going to go to 4 degrees, so we can see that it's almost there. I mean, it's almost to where it's going to station direct and then from our perspective look like it's moving forward again. It's close to Earth. The last week's video in the very beginning, I showed you the Mercury between the sun and Earth, and when it does its retrograde, it's there from our perspective, and it looks like it's moving backward in space, but it's not. But it's the time that that energy is closest to Earth, and that's what kind of fouls things up, or gives a change in communications, a disruptive energy, a shift. If we as we get more and more information about things, we're getting so much more information these days. We're probably going to notice like a change in the electromagnetic field, in the different spectrums of light, in the infrared or the ultraviolet. And that is probably what it is that affects us. And that's what affects us, I believe, on all of the planets as they move, their orbit. Not only do we have that gravitational rotation, or if you want to call it that, whatever it is, as it makes as it moves around the sun, that field. But then as it changes, we have changing degrees of light and changing frequencies and changing as we change the light, again, it's like the spectrum changes. If you just look up Google, the light spectrum, and then the electromagnetic spectrum, you'll see the different waves and the different, you know, um, in the visible light spectrum, you'll see it all divided up into the different colors, and that's what makes the lighting. And that's what makes blue LED light bulbs so bad, because they're just a tiny spike of that whole spectrum of light that we get from the sun. So astrology is all about frequency and light, and moving it into. You have to remember that, like, just for instance, let's look at this chart right now, and I have it set for August 5th, Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, and I just have it at 6 a.m. Spring Hill, Florida. Whoever was born at this time, let's say a little baby pops out, oh, pops out at my local hospital or at home, better yet, home birth. At this time, the sun, this is the imprint of that soul's birth based on where they live and what can be seen at this locality. And we can see at 6 in the morning right now, in the first part of August, the sun has not risen yet. So I know that because this line right here is the horizon. This is the horizon line when we're looking at this chart. All right. And this is like a flattened view of the heavens. This is everything above the horizon, like if we can look out with our face into space. And then this is everything down here that's below. We can't see this, is on the other side of the globe or underneath. So I want you to watch this as I move up by the hours. But before I do that, this would be again, somebody born right now. This is the snapshot of the moment of their birth. This is when they came out of the womb and took their first breath. And hopefully some diligent nurse or attendant wrote down 6 a.m. and not 2 minutes later. Anyway, this gives us at 6 a.m., we can see that they had 2 degrees Leo rising. And we can see the sun down here is below the horizon and Mercury is below the horizon. Now we can also see just above the horizon right here. If we were to look out at 6 o'clock this morning, we would see Venus and Jupiter rising. We would see them in the eastern sky. This is to the east here. So we would see them, and tomorrow morning they'll still be there. So I go ahead a day, they'll be there. So tomorrow morning, wherever you're at on the planet, if you look, around, just before sunrise, you'll see Venus and Jupiter rising, and it'll be bright lights if you don't have clouds or trees or anything or mountains in the way. All right. It may not be due exactly east, but it may be, it's actually going to be a little bit more north of east, slightly north of east, I believe, um, this time of year. But anyway, that's what you're looking at. Now, I just want you to look at something. Now, I'm going to go up by the hour. I want you to watch Mercury here and then the sun. And they will come up over this horizon line. I'll just move them up till, through the day a little bit. So there's an hour later at 7. They've risen and then they're moving higher in the sky. And you can see on the western horizon, we're just about, let's see, at 11 a.m., we're going to, if we could see Saturn and Neptune, they would be setting. All right, I'm just going to let you see that a little bit. I like to get the sun a little bit higher up here so we can see things a little better. All right. So that being said, I'm going to put this back on days just to remind you what we're looking at. So this stuff goes on. This is a day that we're looking at the daily rotation of the Earth. The Earth is rotating on its axis, and that's what we're looking at. We're seeing, the light and dark cycle. Right now I have it set, you can see over here on the left, it's 2 p.m., for today. And then the sun is way up high in the sky. So as we go on, let's just look because we can see in the northern hemisphere about what time, the sun sets late. And we're just about a little after 8. It'll be before 9, 8 something, right? Because it's down here. So it'd be like in between that. All right, so just wanted you to understand that a little bit more because sometimes we have new people looking at this, and it's just interesting to remind you what we're looking at. And we got to kind of, as we learn astrology, we have to learn astronomy a bit to understand. But we're looking at the sky and we're flattening out so we can see it. And then what we're doing also is each day, the sun, I mean, the earth rolls around on its axis. So in the morning, it's like bowing to the sun. It's bowing to the sun, and that's what's making the light, shine toward the east. And then the sun rises and then it reaches to the top of the sky and then it sets and then it roots down in the bottom and then it comes up again. And then each day where the earth moves a little further, one little click more in its motion around the sun. So that we're actually experiencing two motions. We're experiencing we're on the planet and the planet is rotating. Okay. So that is the day night, right? So as the planet rotates, toward the light, we get sunrise and day, and then it rotates away from the light, and the sun sets, appears to set, and then we have night, and then it's going toward the sun, and then we have sunrise, and then day, and then that just continues. But as each time the Earth rolls around, it moves a little further in space until it goes all the way around the sun, right? So that's what your birthday is when the sun, when the sun is where it was on your day of birth the very next year. So today, the sun is right here at 13 degrees, Leo, 41 minutes. Now, if I were to go a year ahead, let me just do that so you just see it because this is interesting. So we go a year ahead. I'm going to click it. I got years there. I'm going to click ahead a year. Boop. And look at, we can see up on the upper left, we have August 5th, 2026. It's a Wednesday. And then the sun is at 13 degrees. See it right there. Now planets have changed. Everything else has changed. Look at the moon is in a different sign. Look at Saturn and Neptune are further apart. Wow. The nodes are at the end, right? They're like there. They're about ready to change. Okay, but anyway, I digress. I want you to go back. Okay, so that is what that means. Okay, so that is a that is the year. So these, planets continually move and there's different rates of movement around the sun. That's what makes this so dynamic. So what we're looking for is angles between these planets. And that's really, I don't want to make it sound super simple, but I have to sometimes because it can quickly get complicated. But we're just looking at angles between the planets and it's like a conversation, and there's ones that are flowy and nice and there's ones that suck, they're hard, and other ones that are just intense. If somebody or something is like right next to you, it's intense and it depends on what it is. If it's somebody, say somebody's right next to you, you're riding an airplane, and whoever is right there next to you, I mean, they're right next to you, right? You're pretty close. Now that would be a conjunction, sitting right next to you. Now it could be good or bad. If it's somebody that smells good, looks good, is polite, kind, sweet, it's a nice conjunction. If it's somebody that doesn't smell good and they're coughing and they're constantly bumping you and loud and they're ignorant, that's a bad. That's not a good conjunction. That's like too intense. Okay. And then you have maybe a few rows ahead of you on the other side. Let's just say that's a square. Maybe on the other side, you have a crying baby. And then, it's like it's very upset and it's very crying and crying. And it's upset and it's crying. And then the younger kid is upset because the baby's getting, and that one's mouthing off. So that's another aspect. That might be a square or an opposition. Okay, so those are the things that are like these conversations that are going on. And, it's like if you know that there's going to be crying babies on the plane, then you'll bring your earbuds or noise canceling headphones or different things. So that's what I like the akin astrology to. If we know some of these things, then we can be more prepared for handling things. Now, what are we handling? We're really handling, we're uncovering uh, how would I even say this? The easiest way, discovery of yourself, awareness. That's the word I was looking for. Awareness of yourself. So let's say that this person here, that like it's fictitious person, we're gonna make born right here. They have to become aware that they have Mercury close to the sun, that they have Venus close to Jupiter, that they have Mars at the end of a sign, about ready to move into the next sign. They have all these types of things, that they have their moon in Capricorn, and that they would have Sagittarius on the ascendant or rising. All of this would be clues as to how this being is, what it's like. This is your vehicle that you're driving around in life. This is your avatar. This is the blueprint of who you are and how you are. And by learning astrology, and or knowing a good astrologer to talk to you about this, I think it's a lifelong study. I think you should get an astrologer to guide you, and you should study on your own. But it's very profound because this is a self-discovery in yourself, and how you work, how you roll, how you tick, what's your good points, what's your stress points, what strengths and weaknesses are. That's all in this mathematical angles between these planets. They're having conversations about it. So basically, that's what it is. And when I go through the daily transit, that energy is today. Or it could be, again, somebody or something birthed. This could be a birth of a business. Maybe you start your business right now. You have your first customer. You make your first thing. This is its energy. All right. With that being said, what we have today, we came in with the moon early today in Sagittarius. So we probably had a little bit, hopefully more of a jovial, optimistic, brighter view of things. And then as the day went on, it maybe became a little bit more serious, a little bit more task oriented, maybe wanting to get things done or starting the process of Capricorn energy is studious. It's methodical. It wants to do this certain things. It wants to climb the mountain. Uh, it wants to have some grounding in making things solid or practical movement. And it's a bit serious. And it's like the moon is all about your emotions. And the moon is at home when it's in its opposite sign over in Cancer. So when it's in Capricorn, it's like closed off because the planet Saturn rules Capricorn, where it's opposite when it's at home, it's in Cancer, and it's all feely and touchy and warm and cozy and funny, fuzzy, and wants to have home and security. Now it's a little closed off. Emotions need to be a little reserved, a little closed, maybe a little put on the shelf. If we get triggered by things, it's like it kind of keeps you a little tight-lipped a little bit. Maybe you're not going to spout off. Maybe you're going to remember it and think about it. Let it stew. when the moon moves into a sign, it's in a sign for 2.5 days. So if things start to suck, um, just know that it may be the moon moving through something like hitting on you directly, and the moon moves fast, so it will change. Usually, you go take a nap, or you go take a walk, or you wait to the next day, and things shift. So just a little word of about that. So we got a little bit of that kind of moon coming in for the next 2.5 days. But what's interesting, and let me move this back just a little bit. Let me move it back till it was. All right. Okay, we can see it at 0 degrees. We can see, so I could say 0 degrees, right? Capricorn, that's sign Capricorn. And then we start looking around at all the other planets to see what it's going to do. So here is it goes into 1 degree, and we notice that we know that we have these planets, Neptune and Saturn down here in Aries. Now these are making what's called a square. So the moon is now squaring this little duo here of trying to maintain structure, trying to pull in things from the other side, having a little bit of a push-pull with structure, with bringing structure in, or with organizing nebulous things, or putting order in. And then the moon is like coming in and it's squaring it. So there you may be at odds with some of that, with trying to get things done, trying to put in the order, trying to move ahead with something. And especially, we're still in the Mercury retrograde energy. So it's not like the total time to move forward, but it is the time to clear up old stuff. I think if, Saturn energy, it's like be responsible, do what the right thing, do what you need to do, you know, get her done. If we can put that energy into getting stuff done that we've been putting off from the past, clearing off your desk, clearing the slate, getting to those things that we really haven't wanted to do, all those tasks, clear the place. That is the right type of thing to do right now with that energy. All right. That being said, we can see a couple of other things are forming here. So we're forming, we're getting closer to Venus up here, getting closer to Cancer. Got that. And these are cardinal signs. And see these cardinal signs right now. We have a lot in cardinal signs. Okay, we don't have anything in Libra at the moment, but we got a T-square coming on. As soon as Mars moves into Libra, now we got all this big square, which I'll get to in just a second. Actually, let's just go ahead and move that forward. So, okay, let me go ahead by the days. All right, so we're coming into Wednesday. Um, we're moving toward a full moon when we're moving toward a Mercury going direct, but it's still retrograde. We're moving toward Mars changing signs. Whenever anything is about to change signs, things always ripple a little bit. So I would expect stock market ripples or big changes. And especially Mars at 29 degrees, it could have some real interesting fluctuations. I'm waiting for it to move into Scorpio. And I think things will be a lot better there for a lot of reasons, but we'll get that another time. But anyway, we're right here on the verge of it changing. And look, it's like 54 minutes. So if I move, let's just see if I can go another couple hours. If it moves, I think it's like late. There it is. Okay, so tomorrow afternoon, Mars changes into Libra. Okay, interesting thing here. Mars does not like to be in Libra. Its home sign, its ruling sign is its opposite sign of Aries. It's the warrior. Well, let me back up. Mars is like your energy, your drive, its aggression, its impatience, it's like movement, drive, energy, um, aggression. And then when it wants to be the warrior, it wants to be in Aries, first doing things, rushing out, saving damsels in distress, getting things done, whatever. When it's in Libra, it's its detriment. It does not like to be there. It's the worst place. I mean, it's fall and detriment are bad places. It's just not comfortable. Now it has to placate. It has to think about others. It wants to be the warrior out doing things, getting on the horse. Yeah, and now it has to have manners, and it has to dress up, and it has to take off the armor, and it has to, be polite. and it may have to have other people's help um, in this sign. Uncomfortable. And then the moon is squaring this, but the moon is uncomfortable in Capricorn as well. It would rather be in its opposite sign of Cancer. So it's uncomfortable, and Mars is uncomfortable. But what do we got going on here? We've got a big T square. Okay, so as soon as, see, we had as soon as the moon started to go into Capricorn, it started to make, connections. It was opposing, um, I'm sorry, it was squaring these planets here at the 1 degree. And then as it moved on, right here it's moved to 16, but as it was moving on, it opposed Venus and uh, Jupiter. Gosh, God, am I thinking? And so it's like moon reserved. Okay, it's like your little reserved feelings, and then we have these nice benefics in comfortable places, wanting to expand, but there's maybe a little emotional restriction, maybe a little bit of intrepidation, maybe a little like I don't know if I want to do that. I'm not sure. And then Mars comes over here and it clicks into the next sign where it doesn't like it. It's having to be diplomatic. So we've got a bit of a kerfuffle of energy here. And then we've got these guys here trying to straighten out things in the fog or lessen things that are too strict. So we've got a big kind of a mess going on, and I would think Wednesday into Thursday, coming into, the full moon is just we might have a bit of a messy week. But with things here, we have what? The moon is again a trigger. So we have one, two, three, four, five, six planetary energies involved with this T square, with this, it's not T square, it's a grand square. There's all of this here squaring. So it could be a bit tense for cardinal signs. All right. So we have some business here around the 0 and 1 degrees because Mars is right there. And then this duo here is at 1 degree. So we got that is the big part. And then Moon went over that quickly. Um, and then the moon will make those, oppositions over here to Venus and Jupiter. So maybe curbing spending. Maybe, you want to spend on home things, but you're a little reserved. Maybe you're withholding. Maybe you're waiting for money to come in. Maybe, it's you're not quite sure. So there's a little bit of withdrawal like that, or maybe withholding emotions because of some it's like it's maybe hard to stick up for yourself. Maybe you need somebody else to be an advocate for you, or you to be an advocate for somebody else. It's that Mars energy, not being in Libra, it may have to have help bringing things through. Having the diplomacy. It's like having somebody introduce you, or instead of you just blowing your own horn. That's kind of that energy. But then it's opposing this structuring thing. So it may be a little bit of you've got to be diplomatic, or maybe you have to um, change your wardrobe, appearance, or the way you go about your energy. Maybe that energy has to go a little bit more of a balancedness to resolve some of these structures that are nebulous, or visions that are coming in. All right, that's the opposition here. And then the moon is, again, the reserved feeling. Maybe it's taking the feelings out of the way a little bit so you're not getting pissed off, or your energy isn't getting frayed or upset by having to maybe do it a different way. Because we really have this nice benefic energy here. Venus is going to be conjuncting Jupiter soon. These are the wonderful planets. And Venus, if it's not in one of its ruling or places it likes to be, this is its favorite home away from home. It loves to be in Cancer. I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's trying to its home away from home. It's like its next best place would be Pisces, but then it's making a nice angle to that. It's a water sign angle, but Jupiter is in its home away from home. If it's not in, you know, um, Sagittarius, it likes to be here, but this is now very expansive. So what we need to watch here is maybe, again, over purchasing, over committing, being too maudlin or too helpful, and then later you regret it. You're just like, crap, why did I commit to doing that? Dang it, I don't want to do that. So this is the reserved emotions, the little bit of the structure is maybe curbing going over too much and promising too much here. And then with the Mars not being happy to do it all on its own, it might be like, oh, I'm not going to do it too hard. So this is a big energy. I'm kind of dwelling on it because this is a lot coming in. Especially if you're cardinal signs. But there's look, we got four signs involved. I mean, all of them. It's all right there. Okay. That being said, all of that out of the way, that's big. Okay, so we're coming into that. That's like Wednesday into Thursday. And then we see Mars as it goes. This is what's interesting. It comes in and it tangles right away. And then as it moves to the 1 degree or as it's coming in, it's going to make a trine over to Uranus. So something out of the blue can come in. This is what's cool. You know, um, Actually, it's coming into a grand trine right here. We've got a big square and we got a big trine. So here's the trine is over to Uranus and over to Pluto. Okay, so it's close enough. Mars is moving. I mean, it's these degrees are, I mean, like very, very close. I mean, it's right there. So as we move like the next day, a few days, you'll see like by Friday, it's exact over here to Uranus. And then as Mars moves on, then it'll be exact over to Pluto. So it's going to be in this aspect with us all week. So again, very interesting. We have um, a big square and we have a big trine. So we had 5 signs, and now we got 6, 7 involved because we have this trine here. Wow. It's like the the sun is kind of like, it's like kind of like not wholly involved. Mercury, but they'll be involved in the full moon. So everything will be activated here again. It's this, that, and the other. So this is again, all the planets are going to be ringing here, all through the week. So here we are okay, so we're into Wednesday. We talked about that. We've got this big trine as Mars changes signs. Okay, let's go back. Today it's the last of it being in Virgo. It had already gone over the South Node, purging, getting rid of stuff, bringing stuff out from the past. You may have had visitors from the past, revisiting things that you've done in the past, clearing stuff out. That's all that Virgo energy. But we still have the nodes there. But Mars, maybe we had the energy to do some of that. So now it's now changed. It's a flavor. It's going to be different. It's going to feel different tomorrow. It's going to be the energy is going to be definitely different. If you've been a little low energy, it's probably going to pick up. And then a little bit more as it moves on into the sign. But that's definitely a big click. Okay, moving on here. We got more to do. So we have the big trine energy. Well, let me go on a little bit about that. Mars being here in Libra, part of it, part of what's going to help this out is Uranus bringing up some different stuff. So it's like, okay, Mars is here stuck babysitting little brother, but then friend is going to bring over some entertainment. And then Pluto's going to join in on it, and then they're going to bring in some entertainment and then it's not going to be so bad for Mars. Um, Pluto here, I mean, this in Aquarius, could be slightly depthy, rebellious, um, drawing the line in the sand, and then maybe getting new ideas, new ways of handling old problems, because we're still right at the end of this Mercury retrograde. New ways of handling this old shit, clearing it out, addressing people, situations that have been hard, difficult. You've had no mind for things within yourself, within your psyche, within your soul. Going over stuff from the past and then reorganizing things, putting things in a new context, rewriting your past. It's like this time, we're in a really interesting timeline split right now of realities. And people are choosing different paths. I think people that more spiritually evolved are already moving, but I think we're still creating spiritual evolution in people that don't have a clue. So a big part of it is awareness of yourself. And once you're aware of yourself, then you start to become aware of your interactions of other with others and how you are and how you have behaved and how you respond. And once you get awareness of things, you bring it out, you can heal it. You can look back in the past and kind of rewrite stuff. It's like, oh, knowing now what I know now, I would have done that differently. But it's like you don't want to beat yourself up about it, which is kind of could be, like that Mars in Libra energy, but it's like rewriting it. It's like maybe reconditioning it. Um, how would I do things different based on what I know now? And then kind of combing over those wrinkles from the past. We all have those, situations that when we get more clarity, we can iron out. So that a lot of that processing is going on, and I think a lot of people are processing a lot of stuff. So it may be very tiring. Um, I think we need to rest. We need to have quality rest. We need to process these things before we can move on. And we're moving on, moving forward really, really fast. So coming into Thursday, what else I want to say? We get, the moon is moving through. We move it just a couple hours. It changes into one more. There we go. Let me go one more. Okay, it changes into Aquarius, and this is going to be different too because it's going to be a bit like rebellious. We're going to go from kind of reserved and restricted to we, and then that's going to join in on that trine. Okay, so it's going to be like conjuncting Pluto, so we could be bringing some issues from the past, bringing some stuff out, bringing deep dark secrets, bringing up rebellious and saying hell no, we're not going to stand for that. And I think a lot of this is almost like we want to see arrests. We want to see these evil wrongdoers, these bad people, um, accounted for. People are seeing all the corruption and all the lies and all the problems um, that elitist type people and corporations have been involved in, and we want to see accountability. So, moon over here, we could see some big things start to happen and shake, rattle, and roll right there, with a rebellious Pluto, and then the moon, it's like your feelings. And then it's going to be egged on here by Uranus, things out of the blue, and then Mars having that energy. And then, with um, that cardinal sign, this is justice. So I'm thinking there may be something going down, and I'm hoping that it's justice served and not false flag type of activities, not more shenanigans and crap to keep people in fear. So anyway, that being said, it's important to focus on the positive things. I think this is a good energy, this trine coming in, and then we're getting close to the new moon. Right here, it's just going to be like late. Well, it was just past it, actually. Here we go. Nope, I almost have it here. It's coming into this as we go further in. And let's see, it passes Pluto, and we're coming into, it's going to be like late 16 degrees. So let me get onto the hours. So we're seeing the moon. Keep your eye on the moon here. It's 15 here. And then see the sun is 16. So keep your eye on the moon. 15:55. It's going to go 16. Uh, it's almost there. It's just back. Okay, so it's 6:16 late. See, it's like 57. It's like right at the end of that. You can see, watch it exactly line up. So we're seeing it'll be like 50. There, it's almost there. 53, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. See right there, it's lined up exactly. So it's like right at the end of the sign. So it's almost like a lot of times you look, it'll round up as 17 degrees. But there it is. And that is at Saturday, 3:53 Eastern Daylight Time. So you'd have to adjust that to where you are. So that is very interesting here. So Moon in rebellious Aquarius. I want to be different. I'm doing this for you. Um, um, Friendly, egalitarian, universal energy. That's like the emotions. And since it's a kind of it's an air sign, but it's fixed. The emotions are not really there. This is kind of like the Dr. Spock moon. We went from emotionless or reserved Capricorn into almost like the Spock, because both of these signs are ruled by Saturn. Neither are very warm. Friendly on this one more, but not so warm and fuzzy. So that kind of reserved moon is opposing this big magnanimous Leo sun right in the middle of the degrees. And it's dramatic and it's from the heart and it wants to roar and it wants to let out and it wants to decry and it wants to proclaim and it wants to dance and sing and wants to be validated. So we have this contrast. This is a very interesting full moon. Some full moons aren't as contrasting, some are. I think the Virgo Pisces one is a real contrasting one. I think the Sag Gemini is not. Um, but anyway, this one to me is very contrasting. And I think the more contrasting, the louder things get and the more uh, purposeful statements are that we make because they're remembered. All right, so this is kind of culminating into this, and then Mercury's still, where is it? Better go to the sun. Mercury's still retrograde. Okay, it's like almost as retrograde as it can be. It's like 4 minutes, 28. What does it go to? It's oh well, find it. It's almost there. So we have that, and then that culminates, and then we have a little bit of a kind of a wind down. And then where's our Mercury? There, it's station direct. Okay, so right on Sunday, it's whenever you see the little S, it's like it's still. It's station direct is what it is, but it's like, okay, it's like that, that point of the pendulum, it goes all the way one way and then it apparently stops and then it turns around the other way. That's the station direct. So right there, that's it. That's, going to be the forward motion. There'll be a day later that it's actually moving forward, but it's like turned around here. So full moon, then Mercury direct. And then there we are on Monday. See, it's still just finished turning around. So here we go on Monday. Now we have this nice kind of coming into the next week. The energy shifts. Mars again is now past that. It's like where's the 2 degrees? It's like right there. It's finishing the trine. It's still an orb of this trine. Okay, so we still have this energy here. It's past this opposition here. So we have that kind of, maybe you've gotten through some of that push pull with clearing the fog, saying what you need to say. Um, the moon is already past that. And then as it goes into later in the month, it will oppose some of this to maybe I mean square over here maybe. But let's look at this. I want to bring this out because Sunday into Monday, let me go back Sunday. See how fast, look at Venus move 2 degrees here. So Sunday into Monday, we have this really nice conjunction of Venus and Jupiter. So what is that? That's just nice. This is like pay attention to your home, your um your family, what gives you comfort, what gives you security. This could be patriotism. This could be expanding on that. It could be expanding on the home. It could be home decorating. It could be making your nest a little bit cozier. It could be expanding sweetness in your life. Um, Anything to do with Cancerian home, family, sweetness, protection. Um, Also manipulation, kind of energy could be involved. So what's that? Because we still have, this energy. It could be over the top. It could be, as it gets over the top, it could be overspending, spending on luxuries, maybe paying too much for something, paying too much for a house, maybe a real estate issue about the home, expanding real estate pursuits, a lot of things around home, but it's a very nice energy. It's all in all, it's nice. Just have to be careful you don't overdo it or overspend or go over the top. But it's a very, very, very nice energy. So we got a tough like few days coming into some tension. Use that a little bit wisely, so to speak. And then, but we also have some movement and try and pay attention to things out of the blue, things coming to you, and then what you can expand in your life that makes you happy and secure. All right, that is our week. And next week we're coming into some cool stuff too. And where's the moon? As we get past all of that stuff, let me go back to Monday. The moon would have moved into Pisces, which makes things a lot more feeling oriented. It will be there the moon will be in a nice trine to this Venus, Jupiter home kind of energy. You'll feel good about that. And then it's going toward the North Node, which is where we're going to. But right now it's like healing hurts, healing things said, um, moving. Becoming maybe more paying attention to your intuition, to your spiritual growth, with the moon in Pisces going close to the North Node, and with Venus and Jupiter here in this all this water sign. So this is very maybe healing emotionally, healing any tensions. And then if anybody has anything in Scorpio, that would be, if you have planets in those middle degrees, yeah, I would say from like 10 or 11 to maybe 22, anything in Scorpio that will be making a grand trine to you or to whatever you have over here. All right, that is it for this week. It's a good week. Ready to rock and roll. All right, more to follow. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.